I heard Terry Haynes very carefully there about the idea, folks, that this is not a big deal. I'm going to go against that. I think it is a huge deal on a legal basis. I'll defer to June Grasso, who has prodigious chops, all the people at Bloomberg Opinion. But what I look at, frankly, more, Joe, is your area, which is the politics of it. And I think there's been a huge ahistorical struggle here with we've done this before. And I'm going to go back to 1890 when the arch protectionist William McKinley in Congress lost his seat in a complete Republican wipeout because the people of America were fed up with paying higher prices. And Joe, that sounds a little familiar, doesn't it?
Yes, and then someone's going to come on this show and say that the Supreme Court just saved the midterms for Donald Trump, and we'll see if that's true. But stick with me on flexibility for a moment. Earlier today, Fox Business, Kevin Hassett, right, talking about the options they have at hand. Here he is.
Should the Supreme Court make the wrong move, is we're going to adjust and use other authorities that we have, because we've now seen the proof is in the pudding that these tariffs work. They do exactly what President Trump says. I think the IEEPA is the cleanest, but if the Supreme Court doesn't like that one, then Jameson Greer has a backup plan that's just as good.
Is this, Tom Keene, why the Dow's only up 37 points? Why retail is down? How is retail down? How is Nike negative on a day when this was supposed to be a celebration?
A lot of uncertainty. Stephen Stanley, publishing at Santander, did a wonderful job of gauging the uncertainty here. I would focus, Joe, on, yes, that uncertainty, and we see the market with the Dow up only 40 points right now, but I would focus on the theory behind this, which has been beautifully explained by our arch academic Douglas Irwin at Dartmouth College. And Professor Irwin talks about the revenue side, as the president will in his press conference here in 40 minutes. They brought in $250 billion. The smart people tell me they're going to lose 40%, maybe half of that that will go away because of this ruling. Then there's a whole idea of restriction, infant industry. We want to keep business in America. But what Justice Roberts focused on, Joe Matthew, was reciprocity. And that's part of the Douglas Irwin calculation. And the way I read it as an amateur is this is a court, including Trump appointees, screaming for guardrails. Joe, I love the sentence here, if I can find it right now. Amy Coney Barrett in the group, the president cannot impose tariffs based on a law's silence or vague language. To me, that's the heart of it.
Mm-hmm. You know, while we're reading from some of these opinions, look at Justice Gorsuch. For those who think it is important for the nation to impose more tariffs, I understand today's decision will be disappointing. All I can offer them is that most major decisions affecting the rights and responsibilities of the American people are funneled through the legislative process for a reason. It's Schoolhouse Rock, Tom.
Yeah, well, it is, but I'm going to go. This was widely anticipated. We've seen the market reaction, and frankly, churning right now. NASDAQ up 0.7%. But the heart of the matter is because the president act in an assertive manner, as President Trump has, the appeals courts, as you know better than me, Joe, have said no. One ruling was 7-4, and for the first time, the Supreme Court weighs in. I would suggest, Joe, in the arc of this, they'll be back. We haven't heard the last from the Supreme Court.
Okay, there you go. Enter Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, probably got a phone call from Donald Trump this morning. No one can deny, he writes, that the president's use of tariffs has brought in billions of dollars and created immense leverage for America's trade strategy and for securing strong reciprocal America First trade agreements with countries that have been taking advantage of American workers for decades. That's fact for you.
Well, yeah, we've brought in $250 billion so far, and guess what? It's additive every month. Let me get it up here. McKee has this memorized. I don't, Joe. I'm sorry. I just can't.
Did we bring in a quarter, or did consumers have to hand that over?
Oh, no, consumer. I think there's wide agreement against Kevin Hassett, that Dr. Hassett of Pennsylvania, that we in some way are paying for this. Before Liberation Day, you were in the Rose Garden, Joe, when that happened. Our tariff was 1 or 2%, 2%, maybe 3%. The peak, the worst case, was 28%. Then we've backed it off, including you had a tizzy about bananas, Joe. So the president for Joe Matthew backed off bananas. We went down to 14.5% like 20 days ago. Now, after this ruling, I've seen two numbers. I've seen 6%, and I believe Martha Gimbel at the Budget Lab at Yale has 9%. So we've almost round-tripped from, keep the math simple, folks, 2% to 28% to 9%. What's the next path, Joe, down from 9%?
Think about that. Okay, so you got a 10-year that moves 0.2? That's why?
I think it's just a tepid reaction on a Friday off of what was anticipated. And again, the response of the president, and critically is my amateur take on this ruling, folks, is the response of Republicans in the House, Republicans in the Senate, and Joe, I'll let you gauge Democrats in the House, or dare I say Democrats in the House and Senate, the first Wednesday of November. Mm-hmm. And that would be a part. Joe, I got to go. I did some extensive research here. Folks, I have a team of interns that make it go every single day. And I need to bring this up because this is what matters.
What do you got?
You look at Yoshida on the Boston Red Sox, and then the guy's underpaid. And the answer is he's one of the few people using the Mizuno Haga pitching glove. The pitchers love it. This is a Mizuno baseball glove. And that thing is popping a 25% tariff until
where
today.
Do they make it?
And so, I mean, you take it as something like, gloves made in the Philippines, gloves made in Vietnam, these gorgeous gloves, the Haga gloves made by Mizuno in Japan. Those tariffs, I guess, are going to come down and greatly affect the Red Sox ability to stay in first place after April 30th.